guys, howdy folks. Welcome back to our podcast, kind of. We're changing a little bit, hashtag evolving. If you look at our Instagram, you will be knowing that we are changing our format. So now we will be starting. Okay,
we have to introduce ourselves.
Oh, sorry. I completely forgot that you may not know what my name is. My name is Anne-Marie.
And I'm Veronica.
Okay.
Yes.
So now that we've got that out of the way, Veronica, how about you explain?
No, you can explain the new format. You got this.
Okay. So we have a new format. Yeah! It's called...
What's in the book?
Okay, so essentially we have three different segments within our What's in the Book series.
And so series depends.
Yeah, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, and so the first one is passage time, and so that is us, breaking apart, analyzing a passage from the Bible, giving our own takes on it. And then we move to deep dive dig, and so that is us just asking ourselves deep delving questions, getting to know each other a bit more. And then finally, our most fun one, creation time. So that is kind of just completely random. It's gonna be a little stop motion or a video or a comic, whatever it may be, about a new science concept. Yeah. So we hope you enjoy this new format.
Yeah.
Please let us know in the comments section.
Yep.
Okay.
Passage time. Okay, so basically today, I guess we're gonna delve into the question, like, should we speak up? Should we really say our opinion? Because sometimes it's okay to say your opinion, sometimes it's a good idea to say your opinion, and sometimes it's really just useless and just causes more trauma than needed. So let's see how this goes.
Okay, so as you can see, should we say our opinion? So Veronica, would you like to read?
Sure. So I guess we're going to start with Acts 23, 1-11. And if you know what the Acts is, it's a book in the Bible right after the Gospels. And this is where we see the adventures of the apostles, and particularly the Apostle Paul and his journey through, the world, just sharing the faith of Christ's resurrection. Now, okay, I guess I'll start. Acts 23, 1-11. Paul looked straight at the Sanhedrin and said, "My brothers, I have fulfilled my duty to God in all good conscience to this day." At this, the high priest Ananias ordered those standing near Paul to strike him on the mouth. Then Paul said to him, "God will strike you, you whitewashed wall. You sit there to judge me according to the law, yet you yourself violate the law by commanding that I be struck." Those who were standing near Paul said, "How dare you insult God's high priest?" Paul replied, "Brothers, I did not realize that he was the high priest. For it is written, 'Do not speak evil about the ruler of your people.'"
Then Paul, knowing that some of them were Sadducees and others Pharisees, called out in the Sanhedrin, "My brothers, I am a Pharisee, descended from Pharisees. I stand on trial because of the hope of the resurrection of the dead." When he said this, a dispute broke out between the Pharisees and the Sadducees, and the assembly was divided. The Sadducees say there is no resurrection and that there are neither angels nor spirits, but the Pharisees believe all these things. There was a great uproar, and some of the teachers of the law who were Pharisees stood up and argued vigorously. "We find nothing wrong with this man," they said. "What if a spirit or an angel has spoken to him?" The dispute became so violent that the commander was afraid Paul would be torn to pieces by them. He ordered the troops to go down and take him away from them by force, and bring him into the barracks. The following night the Lord stood near Paul and said, "Take courage, as you have testified about me in Jerusalem, so you must also testify in Rome."
Of the face, but no, this is a very interesting part of Paul's journey, because you realize, from what I took from it was he kind of realizes that he did something wrong. It's kind of like when your parents are wrong, and you tell them you're wrong, but then you shout at them and say they're wrong. Like it still doesn't change the fact that you shouted it at them, even if they are wrong. It's just there's some sort of form of respect that,
Yeah.
has to be present. And so I guess in this passage, from what I take from it, is like you kind of see that Paul kind of learns, well, yes, my opinion's right, but at the same time, I haven't said it the right way.
Yeah, I think that's pretty evident when he says, "Brothers, I do not realize that he was a high priest." I feel like when you read the first kind of, verses 1 to probably 4, you kind of think, oh, Paul's kind of, standing up for what he believes in.
Yeah.
But then when you keep on reading, you realize he's right. There's no doubt that he's right, but I think there could have been like a better way for him to say it.
Yeah, like a more respectful way. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Life is just like that. You can't just have a clear-cut answer.
Yeah.
There has to be a whole context to it. And from the context we see,
yeah.
Well, like, it was right to stand up for the truth, but at the same time, he was almost not cursing, but like pointing really hardly at a man who is respected in the community and so forth.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I think that kind of like brings up the question. What do you think is like, do you feel like you can share your opinion openly? Do you think that, when do you feel like it's the right time to share your opinion? Or do you ever feel silenced because of fear that you'll hurt someone else's feelings or that you'll disrespect someone? I feel that in my life, like, very often, because I think that's one reason why I'm not that open with sharing a lot of my opinion sometimes, because I just don't want to hurt other people's feelings. And that's happened before. So.
There was a saying that's like, it's better to stay silent than just keep speaking and speaking and speaking.
Mm-hmm.
Because you'll have a greater chance of saying something wrong or something that will just completely tear up a relationship. But you're right, and it also bears the question, like, when do you stand up to your elders then? Like, how about if someone is truly, like, quote unquote oppressing? You know what I mean? Like, are we just supposed to stay silent?
Yeah.
That bears the question.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's necessarily the case. If I was in Paul's position, and what I would think would be the right thing to do is I would stand up, but at the same time, I would be aware of the way I stand up to the priest, especially since he's a high priest.
Mm-hmm. And I think there's also, in this line, okay, let me test out this. Can you see that?
Or it works.
It works, people. I'm actually kind of getting a hang of this. Okay, wait, one second. Let me finish this.
While she does that, it always surprises me, like, in the Bible, you don't realize how strong the words are because they're all in like kind of like Old English, which we don't really use anymore. But if you really think about it, this is a current version of saying, like, you hypocrite, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, it's
exactly.
Is
it just me, or is that particular line that I've highlighted / I honestly don't know what I did there. But do you think that that's kind of like him saying you are a hypocrite?
Yeah, it's kind of funny to think, like, they were real people,
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, like, the next part's actually quite funny. Like, from 5 to I think it's 8, he's kind of, I don't know if he's purposely doing this, but he's kind of like splitting them up because there was a whole fight between the Pharisees and Sadducees, and he's like, okay, I'm gonna use this to my advantage.
Yeah.
Like, he knew that they were both Sadducees and Pharisees, and so he's like, oh, I'm a Pharisee, and so it kind of brought up the conversation of the resurrection of the dead, which is something the Sadducees and the Pharisees never agreed upon. Like, the Pharisees rightfully thought that there was a resurrection of the dead, while the Sadducees were kind of, they didn't believe that anyone would, they just believed you died, you're done, like that.
Yeah. That can be found right there.
Yeah, that's very funny. I always just find that funny. It's like, would you ever do that? Just manipulate the situation? Like, that's smooth.
No, I don't think I'd have the guts to do that.
Yeah, me
because
too.
I feel like even if I did do that, they'd ultimately figure out, and then I'd be stuck. So
yeah, no, but it's smooth. It's smooth. And the commander was afraid. Wow, such a caring guy. I mean, and back in those days, did the commanders really care?
I don't know. It says the dispute became so violent, the commander was afraid Paul would be torn to pieces.
There must be Kind of sounds like a cub with like lions.
Yeah, I know. That's honestly what I thought of when I first heard it.
I'm like, that is
Torn to
violent.
pieces.
Wow, that's like violent. Like, do you know what that reminds me of? You know, Lord of the Flies. What's his name? Simon or what? The kid who was like the
Oh
Jesus figure,
yeah. Oh
and he
yeah,
got
yeah.
torn to
And
pieces.
then the kids attacked him. Yeah, he
Yeah,
literally got torn to pieces.
yeah.
Great insight. Let me just go like that. Obviously, we come back to this question: should we share our? Do you say your opinion? Are you open to saying your opinion?
Okay. I find that whenever I say my opinion, I'm either on the blacklist of things, or like I say it wrong, and so it makes me sound like it makes me sound worse than what I'm trying to say.
Okay,
Like,
yeah. Is it
yeah,
because wait, correct me if I'm wrong. Is it because like you're so passionate about it that it may like come out as a little not so
no,
great,
yeah, it doesn't
offensive
come out
kind of to some?
kind of offend. Yeah, because a lot of times I assume that people understand what's going on in the back of my mind,
Yeah.
and so I just blurb it out because I mean I just assume that they understand. Like behind that all, I don't hate you, or I don't like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, especially when you're passionate about something. It's great to be passionate, but terrible when you're trying to talk to someone.
Yeah, especially if the person doesn't share your opinion. If
Yeah,
they share your opinion, it's
it's so
perfectly
good.
fine. But
Yeah,
if they don't share your opinion, especially if they're on the polar, like they have like
opposite.
a
Yeah,
polar opposite opinion, it makes it so much more difficult. And also, I feel like it's very difficult, at least in my life, to share my opinion because I just I don't want to be attacked.
yeah. No, I understand. Like, okay, like beforehand, before the whole internet thing, like people could say their opinions and only like the person beside them knew, right? But now that the internet's here, it's like if I say something, it will come back to me in 12 years.
Yeah, exactly.
So if my opinion right now is it actually like is the popular opinion, and then in 12 years it's not, you know what I
Hmm.
mean? It will just be used against me.
Exactly, it can be used against you.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, in Paul's days, obviously they didn't have the phone, so they couldn't really like, I guess, completely record. But I'm wondering, like, in the back of Paul's mind, was he just doing this out of passion, or was he like truly like disturbed from what he was seeing?
I personally think he was doing it out of passion.
Hmm, that's interesting. Because you know what the Sanhedrin is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for people who don't know, it's like a council of really old wise
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
just sit, or at least wise people just sitting around. Like he's not talking to people who are completely unaware of what's going on. You know, it's kind of
I
like
I think that's also like one reason why it was kind of weird the way he said it, a little disrespectful and offensive, and then he ultimately realized it afterwards.
I don't think it's the offensive part because your opinion will offend someone, and you can't stop someone from being offended. That's their reaction to it. You can If I say I hate blueberries, someone's going to be offended. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I can't stop your offense. I think it's just respect. There's some element
Yeah,
of
there has to be an
respect.
element of respect to it. That's
Yeah.
correct.
So
Yeah.
probably in Paul, I would think in the back of Paul's mind, like he's a respectful guy. Like at the end, he's like, "Oh, sorry." Like even a Bible
Yeah.
verse says for me not to do this. So I think he would kind of have the same problem. Like in the back of our brains, yes, we have respect in our brains, you know, in the back. But when we're very
Mm-hmm.
passionate, we just you
Yeah,
know.
you blurt it out because I also think another thing is if you haven't stated your opinion or shared your opinion in a while and you've kind of kept it cooped up and then finally you let it out.
It sounds worse than it really is.
Yeah, it sounds worse than it really is because like it's just years of opinions. And
Um,
then
yeah, I don't think.
breaking
I
free.
mean, Paul has always said his opinion about this
Mhm.
sort of things. I think it's just that it's probably just the location. He's near the Sanhedrin. He sees all the people who are like hypocritical. And he's like
Yeah.
he. I feel like part of him might not have realized this, but he like maybe part of him like in a goodwill wanted them to turn from their hypocritical ways. You know, so he just called them out for it.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think he would have done it for the sake of just calling them out.
That's a nice take on it. You have anything else to add?
No, I think we kind of covered it. But Yeah, I think that's just a problem that we all have, because other than people who are just extremely open with sharing their opinion,
Yeah, and
I
patient.
want to be like that one day.
Yeah.
But I think it's really difficult because it I don't know. It depends on the atmosphere. It depends on the people you're around.
There's this saying by C.S. Lewis that says, "No one ever told me that grief felt so like fear." So there could be, I'm not saying that there is, but there could be a part where he's grieving for them. You know what I'm
Like
trying to say? Like he's grieving for their salvation. He's like, why is it that these people keep rejecting God? So I mean, in his grief, I mean, he's in sort of a fearful situation. You know, he's literally in front of the Sanhedrin, which is like the top people of the day. It's kind of, you know, what it's kind of like. It's kind of like sitting in front of like the Pope and like the bishops, or for people who like are not religious, it's kind of like sitting in front of like celebrities, just the top A-listers in front of you, and you just had to talk to them. You know?
yeah.
Yeah, it's not like an easy thing. Yeah, I don't.
Do you think it's the reason why he kind of had his outburst was
It,
because he was overcome by this grief, I guess?
I overcome by grief and fear. Like there's probably a lot of emotions going through him. Like but from what I have from this passage, yeah, possibly. Obviously, I'm not Paul. I have no clue what was going through his brain. There's no video of him grieving or being sad or fearing or anything. But from words, you know,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, words carry a lot of meaning.
Exactly. Yeah.
In the last verse, take courage. That's something we need to remember in our lives.
Yeah. Always. That's the hardest part
Yeah.
of life, taking courage in any situation, whether it be
Yeah.
sharing your opinion or trying something new or
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, see, like Paul, kind of, you can kind of say he had some sort of courage in blurting out the truth. Like, I feel here like Jesus was still like acknowledging the fact, like, you know what, like, continue on, just do the right thing.
Yeah. Take courage because he knows that what he's saying is the truth. So he
Yes.
just has to keep going and take courage.
Yes. Well, there were like a few Bible verses. I don't know if they're on the doc. So
I sadly do not have them.
okay, so I will just say the Bible verse. I'll just say or if you want to say the Bible verse. Anyways, your writing is beautiful.
Oh, thank
Beautiful.
you. It's it's a work in progress.
Yes, it's a work in progress. By the end of this, I'm expecting you to have just like what's it called? Calligraphy.
Calligraphy?
Just calligraphy, people. Just in 2 seconds. I need you to write calligraphy.
Well, okay, so I have it.
Okay.
So the one that we have down is James 1:19-21. And it says, "Know this, my beloved brothers, let every person be quick to hear, slow to speak, slow to anger, for the anger of man does not produce the righteousness of God. Therefore put away all filthiness and rampant wickedness, and receive with meekness the implanted word, which is able to save your souls."
Which is very.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah, like that's a Bible verse, I guess, kind of wraps it up. It's like we're not just supposed to be angry just to be angry, just for the sake of being angry. You know, we
You have to
have to
think before you speak. You have to
process what's happening.
yeah.
Like, I don't know if, I mean, obviously, I think everyone has this thing where it's like when you are really, really mad or sad, you don't think properly. Like 2 days after, you think back on what you did 2 days before, and you're like, why was I such, why did I do that? Like,
Mhm.
what did I do? You know? So I think that Bible verse is applicable in certain situations. Obviously, some situations you can't like just pause and just, think all like for a whole day of it because like it just,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? But I mean, in general, it's listen to what the other person in front of you is saying to understand how they think, so that
Yeah.
when you relay the message, it comes across properly to their minds.
Yeah.
I
You
think
have
that's
to
a
do a little bit of understanding their character too.
Yeah,
That's
you need to
another
speak
thing.
up.
Listening is very difficult because I think,
We're social creatures. We want to
yeah,
speak all the time.
we want to speak, and I
See, I'm
think
interrupting you right now.
that's okay. But I think that's also like another thing, like giving advice to people.
Yeah.
That has like an element of listening to it, and I think that's why it's so difficult to give like good advice,
Mm.
because I think you have to be patient, you have to be wise, and you also have to like listen to the situation. And those are all really difficult things to do.
You have to also understand, and I think that's like that's emotional intelligence. Like if you have that, you're gifted greatly because you'll be able to understand how to talk to people, and
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's a great point. I mean, I think the part that's really hard for me is slow to speak.
Slow to speak. So
Yeah,
let's read that again. Know this, my beloved brothers, let every person be quick to hear, slow to speak, slow to anger.
slow
For
to anger. Yeah, go ahead.
okay, I'll keep going. For the anger of man does not produce the righteousness of God.
It does not produce indignation. It's
I think if you look at like just the literal meaning of it, let every person be quick to hear, he's telling you to like listen more.
mm-hmm,
Slow to speak, think before you speak. Slow to
mm-hmm,
anger, don't get worked up like for no
mm-hmm,
reason. Like
mm-hmm,
think. For the anger of men does not produce the righteousness of God, because
mm-hmm.
you when you get angry, I think as you said before, you don't understand what you're saying
Yeah,
half the
trust
time.
me.
And then like 15 minutes later you process it, and it's like, oh my goodness, what did I say?
Yeah,
And unless the person whom you said it to is like super
your
close with
close
you,
friend. Yeah,
yeah, and knows maybe the situation that you were in, the reality of the situation, um
it's
then
awkward to go back and say sorry. That's the
yeah,
thing.
exactly, because then you've created just like a weird,
Relationship
yeah,
thing. I mean, it would be great if you can fix it by saying sorry, but I mean, that's kind of hard if you just meet the person once, or you're not like you don't know how to contact them, or even if you're just not close to them, you're like, if I just send this comment, what's gonna happen? Like, are they gonna think that I'm like?
yeah.
Oh, that's also another problem I have. I keep thinking about what the other person is gonna think rather than thinking what's like truly important.
Yeah, that's so true. I think that's another reason why we don't share our opinion, right?
Yeah.
Because you think about what that's with anything. That's with like the way I dress, the way I speak, the way I like the music I listen to.
Mhm.
It's all influenced by what other people think of me, because I just
Mhm.
like I don't wanna look like a loser, people, or I
Mhm.
don't wanna. I'm afraid that people won't accept me if I'm not myself. But by doing that, you're not allowing yourself to grow. You're not allowing yourself to be free. Like it's
Mhm.
so constricting.
That is
I don't.
true. That is
That's what I don't like about our society today. It's like we base everything off of what other people think of us.
yeah. And I mean, obviously, that's a problem. It's a problem in terms of. I mean, obviously, it's not bad to try to be like decent in front of people, but
Hmm.
it's bad when you start conforming to the
Yeah.
world. Do you want to wrap up with the proverbs I sent you?
The proverbs that were sent to me. Let's take a look, guys.
or on the dock or whatever it was.
Proverbs 18:2. Not too sure if this is the one you wanted, but I'm gonna read it anyways. It may
Yeah.
spark another conversation. A
Okay.
fool takes no pleasure in understanding, but only in expressing his opinion.
hmm This was a verse I actually saw while I had a youth group, and I screenshot it and I sent it to Anne Marie because I'm like, this is a Bible verse, like this is truth. Because sometimes I feel like a fool. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? I am the fool sometimes, and then like that sparked the question, like, when should I say my opinions? This is like this proverb is the basis of all of what you just spoke about, what
Yeah.
of all we have just spoken about. Um, I
No
feel
pleasure in understanding. A fool takes no
yeah,
pleasure in understanding.
yeah. It's a harsh, but I mean it's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because obviously, as we were saying, it's kind of like when you get angry. You don't think about it You become foolish and you do whatever you want.
There might be just an element of humanity in it that you want other people to know a part of you. Beautiful. Do you wanna write Proverbs 18:2 and just be like, don't be a fool.
Don't be a fool, guys. That's the number one lesson. I think.
You have anything else to
add? Well, no. That was a good conversation.
That was a good conversation.
Insightful, guys.